And we are just 18 days away from the Jets beginning their 2025 season. But it is a milestone because today is the end of training camp. And we got some things to talk about, some news the Jets actually made today. I've got one final roster projection to share with you. I've got some changes from the one that I gave to you last week. So we're going to get into all of that, plus 3 and out. We're going to focus on just one sport. So all of that is coming up. But guys, you know what's up. It's Wednesday night. It's 6 p.m. Eastern, and we are live. Well. Welcome, everybody, back to New York Sports WickerMedia. I am your party host, WR2-K99. You see, it says it right there. Every Wednesday night, as I always am, for our weekly Wednesday night extravaganza. I appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me tonight on a late August Wednesday night. Fall is creeping in, and that means the start of football season, but we're not there just yet. So we're going to get to some things tonight with the NFL. Hey, if you are new in the chat, welcome aboard. If you're returning, appreciate you being here. Feel free to leave a comment. Feel free to say what's up. You got any questions, any thoughts on your mind? You are more than welcome to share them. It's an open forum. It's a safe space until things get a little bit too crazy. And you can become one of the OGs like the great Harlan Abraham, Father Abraham and his many sons, the many sons of Father Abraham. I am one of them, and so are you. Harlan Abraham, I'm glad you are here, faithfully here every Wednesday night. I appreciate it very, very much. So before we get into the football, let's talk about what's on my mind in the world of New York sports with a little bit of what we like to call 3 and out. And we're going to stick with baseball tonight because let's be honest, nothing really going on in anything else. So the New York Mets take on the Washington Nationals tonight. They have won 3 games in a row. I can't call this the most inspiring 3-game winning streak I've ever seen, but an 8-1 thumping of an inferior national team. Very, very important before the Mets begin an absolute gauntlet of a schedule. I mean, up ahead, you've got Philly, you've got Houston, you've got Cincinnati, who is right up their butt for that last wild card spot. A lot of tough games still to come. But last night is what it should have been. David Peterson goes 8 innings. The downside was Francisco Alvarez, pretty much confirmed he will be out for at least a week or two. It's probably going to be longer. He is going to eventually need surgery on his thumb. It's a UCL sprain in the thumb. Somehow the sprain requires surgery. And it's just frustrating because he was really playing the best baseball of his career since he got called back up from Syracuse, from the minor leagues. But he's had a history of hand injuries, and it is a concern, but it really didn't have anything to do with him being a catcher. He just slid the wrong way at the wrong time. Now, a lot of people are very down on the head first slide. I can tell you personally, when I was growing up playing baseball, I always did the head first slide. I didn't get hurt. The reason was I knew when to start the slide. If you start too close, yes, you're at a higher risk of getting injured. Because if you start at the right spot, you can move your hands to where they need to go, and then your head, your shoulder, your neck, other parts of your body that are vulnerable don't have to come into the picture. So Alvarez just, it just absolutely sucks. It absolutely sucks that happened. So now other players like Mark Vientos, Brett Beatty, who's been white hot in August, very quietly had a very, very good August. These guys got to do their part now because Alvy's down for the foreseeable future. But in these 2 series against Washington and Atlanta, 2 teams that are done, I just like to point out again, the Atlanta Braves are done. Did I say the Atlanta Braves are done? They're done. I need 4 of 6. I need 4 of 6. I want 5. But we know what Atlanta does to the Mets pretty much every time they play. Because last I checked, Philly and Cincy ain't losing. Philadelphia just swept the Mariners. Right now, Cincinnati's playing the hapless Angels. Maybe the Mets can catch the Padres for the second wild card spot, but I don't think it's likely. I think San Diego is just too loaded. Here's the bottom line as a Mets fan. There's 5.5 weeks left in the season. The only two teams I'm focused on are Philadelphia, and much more closely, I'm focused on Cincinnati, just one game behind the Mets for that wild card spot. The Mets cannot afford to miss the playoffs. I can't imagine what will happen if they do. Yep. And what happened here? Did I just disappear? I showed a comment and I disappeared. What the heck was that? All I'm trying to do is show a comment, and the thing tries to take me off cameras. Thanks, StreamYard. Really appreciate you. More budget cuts. Let's just move that out of the way. Let's see if it works now. Oh, there you go. All right. Boston coming to town on Friday to play the Yankees. That's exactly right. And the Yankees are rolling too. 4 straight wins, a 13-3 beatdown of the Rays. 9 home runs in that game tied a club record. And you look at the history of the New York Yankees and, the power hitters they've been for over a century. That's pretty impressive. The Yankees, here's a first. If you like first, I got one for you. Yankees are the first team in the history of Major League Baseball to hit back-to-back-to-back home runs in the first inning 3 times in one season. Pretty good. Now, they're still 5 games behind Toronto, but they've got the first wild card. They're 1 game up on Seattle and Boston, and the first team out of the standings is Kansas City. They're 3.5 back of the Yankees. That's right. Harlan's a Red Sox fan. Almost forgot. It's hard to associate the Jets-Boston thing, but it does exist. One of my better friends in Virginia, he wasn't really in the Virginia Jets fans group all that much because he actually oversaw the local what would you say, intramural sports leagues. So he was always he always had a game to officiate. He always had a game to play in. But he is a Red Sox, Celtics, and Jets fan. I can't understand it. I can't understand the logic of it. But that's the way he divided his loyalty. Red Sox, Celtics, and Jets. I don't think he's a hockey fan from what I know. So, yep, Harlan is not the only one. All right. Now I want to get into this baseball realignment thing real quick here. Let's put this back up as we have another bug trying to join us, but I just have to squash him when he settles down. So Rob Manfred, the commissioner and thankfully soon to be outgoing commissioner of baseball. I'm going to try to get this one guy. No. So he was guesting on the Sunday night telecast, and I got to give him this. At least he was honest with his intentions. At least he made it clear what he wants to do. He wasn't like one of these commissioners basically giving the humana. Well, we're just looking at growing the game. We're looking at the best interests of our players and our fans. It's all about the fans. No, he basically came right out and said, we want to realign. We want to change baseball, the standings of it for geographic purposes. We want to save money. He made it very clear. Now, if you're a baseball fan, you've probably at least suspected, if not known, for years this was going to happen. NHL has 32 teams. NFL has 32 teams. Baseball wants 32 teams to grow their revenue. So it was inevitable. Now, I can't tell you how it's going to change. We can't really do that till we know the 2 cities that baseball is going to expand to. But I would mention a couple things. Do you go the hockey route or the football route in terms of structure? Meaning, do you have 4 divisions with 8 teams, or do you have 8 teams like you do in 8 divisions like you do in football with 4 teams in each? It's interesting. Now, I prefer fewer divisions because it makes winning the division mean a little bit more. Do I like the idea of the Mets and Yankees playing each other constantly? I don't, because the Subway Series feels like an event. Even now, it still feels like those games are a little bit extra special. Now they're not even going to mean all that much. And I know it sells, but just it's the uniqueness that's going to get watered down. So where are they going to expand to? Well, I'm going to give you 8 cities that I think could use a major league team, and it would work. Carolina, and by that I mean Raleigh, right in my backyard, or Charlotte. Of course, for obvious reasons, I would like it in Raleigh. I think it's only fair. Charlotte's got 2 major league teams. Raleigh has 1 major league team. Raleigh is growing very fast. It's a long way from D.C. or Atlanta. You have to go basically 4 or 5 hours in either direction. I really think North Carolina should have an MLB team. I really do. And there's a strong movement to get that to happen. You can look at Montreal. They could return there. I mean, it would be very cool to bring the Expos back. Indianapolis, a very, very good sports city. Nashville, Tennessee seems like kind of the obvious one. Then you have New Orleans. You could also go to San Antonio, another big city. Oklahoma City, Salt Lake City. I'll even give you a ninth one, Portland, Oregon. I think you can make arguments for any of those cities deserving a major league team. But it really does make sense with the expansion because let's think about baseball. It's very, very regional. Let's think about this. Let's say you're in the mall, you go into your local sporting goods store, you go into Dick's or you go into Foot Locker or a Champs type place. What sport do you see the most of? You see what jerseys are on the wall? It's football. It's football. And it's not just your local team. It's jerseys from all over the league because the NFL is a national product. You'll meet people who root for 3 New York teams and some random football like the Cowboys. You will see that. NBA, you'll see some variety there. MLB, NHL, it's local. It's 99% local. So that's the whole thing. So even though baseball is the sport of tradition and I respect it, you know what? Give some of these regions their own team because it's not as if they're watching baseball games because they're big Aaron Judge fans or Shohei Ohtani fans. So I would like to see the 2 new markets. And more than anything, I look forward to seeing the Braves no longer be in the Mets division, if I'm just being honest about it. So we'll see what happens as far as that goes. Let's get rid of that. All right, everybody. I think it's about time to get into some NFL. It's time to get into the main event, the reason why I know you're here. So everybody, we know what to do. We know what to say. So say it proud. Say it loud. Let me Hope you all have checked out the JETS Jets champ video that a few of us did in Lambeau Field when the Jets were scoring their touchdowns. Just a little 10, 15-second blurb that I put out there about a week ago. So we're going to get into a good amount of news tonight. There is some stuff that is going on. I'll do a recap of the Giants game, not so much talking about the game, but just players whose stock are rising and whose are falling. Let's get into that right now. So stock up, stock down, stock up, stock down. Actually, yeah, let's just do the stock up, stock down. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a couple of players here. Let's minimize that. All right, Kene Nwangwu. How long? Every week, I feel like I got to come on here and I got to bang the Kene Nwangwu drum. We already knew he was a very good kick returner. He was the best option for the Jets as far as kick returning goes. But he proved that he's more than that. He proved he could be a capable gunner on special teams as he saved that punt from Austin McNamara from going into the end zone. And that ball was down at the 7-yard line. And that matters, especially with Chris Boyd, who is supposed to be a special teams ace for the Jets, now being out for the season, placed on IR. It's also worth noting that the Jets gave Nwangwu some of the reps at the running back position, ahead of Donovan Edwards. And Nwangwu with his carries, yeah, you could tell me he was in garbage time, and that is certainly true. But he rushed 6 times for 31 yards. Nwangwu may just be something more. He may be more than a returner. Looks like he can play special teams. If you need him in a pinch running back, he can do that as well. He looks like a football player. And that's something to be excited about. And I've had him on every roster projection that I've done, and I see no reason to change now. Braylon Allen averaged 5 yards per carry behind the first-team offensive line. Breece got to keep looking over his shoulder. Even in practice today, Braylon was getting the majority of the reps. Again, I still continue to think Breece Hall will get traded for draft compensation as we get closer to the trade deadline later this fall. But I am just so excited about Braylon Allen. Arian Smith, this is looking like a very encouraging sign. If you want some hope for the future, look at Arian Smith. Not that he is going to be the next Tyreek Hill. I'm not saying that. But if the Jets, think about this. This never happens with the Jets. Could their front office and scouting staff have been smarter than every other front office in the NFL? The Jets? It's shocking to imagine. But there were teams that did not have Arian Smith on their draft boards. They felt his drops were too much of a hazard. They felt 1 year of college production was not enough of a resume to them. Jets said, we're going to take a chance on him in the 4th round. And I'll tell you what we're seeing. He can gain separation. This is not a track runner. This is not Johnny Lamb Jones. He can move in and out quite well. And he can block a little bit when he needs to. And we've seen him draw penalties, even when they don't get called. Now, I don't expect him to start, but count on him working his way up the depth chart in short order. Another thing with Smith, I'm starting to think that it's not necessarily his hands that are the issue. I think tracking the football is a little bit more of the problem. because he's out there on the jugs machine and he's very, very good at it. I think the biggest thing Arian Smith needs to do is just almost like Brandon Stevens, just not think too much, overthink the ball, where the football is, and just let hopefully the instincts take over and just go up and grab it. Because we've heard that about Brandon Stevens. Great coverage ability, but not a good on-ball cornerback. Maybe Arian Smith is kind of similar to that, just from an offensive perspective. Just food for thought. Quentin Skinner and Brandon Smith, two other young wide receivers, although Brandon Smith is in his 5th year. Skinner, of course, the rookie. We keep wondering, the Jets have depth at wide receiver, but do they have a starter next to Garrett Wilson? So far, nobody has been able to prove themselves. You see some capability, but you don't have a proven starter, and we're going to talk more about that a little bit later on. Dean Clark, that's the only standout I've got on defense. Led the defense in tackles, had a sack, 2 passes deflected, an interception as well. For a player who I don't expect to make the team, he's at least proving himself to be a worthy practice squad candidate. And Austin McNamara, wow. You know what? For everybody complaining that Thomas Morstead got cut, everyone who's complaining at that time, McNamara looks like he is the real deal. 6 punts, 49-yard gross average, 46.5-yard net average, no touchbacks, forced 2 fair catches, got a punt to go out of bounds at the 4-yard line, and his 2 punt returns yielded a total of 15 combined yards. Not bad at all. And then we go to stock down, Jeremy Ruckert. I keep saying, I've said from the beginning, he's not a good blocker, okay? He'll make a catch every few days in practice, and he'll still make the team barring anything unforeseen. But I'm just looking at him on the level of Jeff Cumberland. He is a placeholder who needs to be replaced. And that's why when I did my top 10 most critical Jets this season, I hated to put a rookie in the top 10, but I put Mason Taylor there because I can't watch Jeremy Ruckert starting for 17 games. I can't watch it. Malachi Corley, you know what? I'm not saying I've given up on him, but I'm getting close. You know, he looked good on a 2-point conversion attempt, left his defensive back in the dust. That's about all I could say. Played 14 snaps on offense, played them late in the game, was never targeted. And it's not that he did anything wrong in this game. It just feels like the coaching staff doesn't believe in him. You look at the wide receivers ahead of him: Garrett Wilson, Josh Reynolds, Tyler Johnson, Jamal Pritchett, Arian Smith, Brandon Smith, Quentin Skinner. All of those, that's 7 receivers undoubtedly ahead of him. You know, we kill the last coaching staff for not developing talent, and deservedly so. But is this just a thing where the scouting staff just focused too much on speed and agility? Maybe it's a mental thing where Corley just isn't adjusting. You know, it's easy to say maybe he just dominated small schools. Maybe he was just going up against poor competition and he isn't able to make the leap to the next level. But if he gets let go, you know he's going to get gobbled up by somebody. Somebody's going to give him a chance. And if he goes to like Kansas City or a situation like that, count on him being a little bit more productive. Gosh, I don't understand. Tony Alexio, kick. I don't understand why this keeps kicking me off. Kick Butterfinger Gibson to the curb. No more stomach aches. I'm just gonna remove this for a little bit because this is bothering me a little bit. We'll do the best we can, but man, oh man, StreamYard's getting worse by the week. Getting frustrating. So I got to put stock down on Corley. Even Jay Tufele, I didn't really like the way he played. He had 1 tackle, was practically invisible. He did nothing in this game. So let's see if he plays on against Philadelphia. See what he does. Is he more the Tufele that played against Green Bay or the Tufele that played against the Giants? Zaire Barnes, I thought he played well against Green Bay. Not this week. He struggled in coverage. He was missing tackles. I think it's really him and Marcelino McCurry Ball for that 5th linebacker spot. And I don't think Barnes had a very good showing against the Giants. The depth cornerbacks, I was going to say that, but I'm feeling better. I was going to mention A.Z. Thomas since he has not been practicing, but he is back as of this week. Jarek Bernard-Converse, he looked pretty good. He didn't play week 1. Qantas Stiggers had a pick, but he did struggle at times, but I think he's done enough to earn a roster spot. A couple other notes on this game. We know Justin Fields did not perform well. 1 for 5 in passing. He was late a couple of times, but I would remind us, for a young team, a little bit of adversity now is a good thing. You want it now rather than in September. Better than now than against Pittsburgh or against Buffalo. Olu Fashanu. He's given up a few pressures in practice, but you know what? In the games, he's allowed nothing. Armand Membu, it kind of depends on your perspective. He was getting beat by Kayvon Thibodeau, which is inexcusable. And, it's hard to grade offensive linemen. I know a lot of times we look at PFF because that's about the best we can do. ESPN has their pass block win rate, run block win rate, things like that. But they gave Membu a pass block grade of 4.2, yet he allowed only one pressure on 9 snaps. So that formula, I think they need to check on that. And the Jets' offensive line overall has yielded pressure on less than 16% of its pass blocking grades in the preseason. That's the third best in the National Football League. And whatever we want to say about Justin Fields, if he has time to throw the ball, well, that's a better chance of him making the good throws as opposed to these scary throws that are going to give us half of his heart attacks. For the defense, remember, no Will, no Quinnen, no Sauce in that game against the Giants. Eric Watts had 3 pressures. Tyler Barron had 2. That's something to be excited about as well. Harlan, let's see how some of the players on the bubble do in the last game and how they do in camp. Yeah, I think that game against the Eagles on Friday night, there's a number of players whose jobs are at stake, and we're going to talk about that. You have your locks. I could say there's maybe about 40 players I would consider locks. There's a lot of roster spots that in my mind are up for grabs. Tony, hopefully we could trade Corley for a late round pick. I'm not overly optimistic about it. I can't say it's impossible. I don't know of a team that would really trade for him. I think they would take the chances that, unless it's one of the best teams in the NFL that just wants to develop a wide receiver. But I think a lot of teams are going to take the chance that he's going to get cut, and they're going to try to gobble him up without giving up an asset. So, Tony, I just don't think it's realistic. Harlan basically says the same thing. Someone will take a chance on him. Yeah, I got to go with Harlan on that one, man. 2021 quarterback is bad, including Fields, Martinez, and Cook are better options. 2021 quarterback? A little confused, Tone. 2021 quarterback. All right. So we did get some news about 2 hours before we started the broadcast. And let's see. Let's add that back up. Yeah, StreamYard's just screwing with me here. All right, there we go. All right, Jawan Briggs, the newest New York Jet. We got a nice, big, ugly, dirty defensive tackle that helped shut down that opponent run game. To shut down James Cook, to shut down Devon Achane, to shut down, what's the guy, Trevon Henderson, who's apparently the second coming of Barry Sanders up there in New England. That's apparently what we got to worry about. So Jawan Briggs is here to help. Jets acquire him along with a 2026 7th-round pick, which is originally the Bills' pick, for the Jets' 2026 6th-round pick. All right, so this is like the Joe Douglas special, trading a 7 and basically trading a 7 and a player for a 6. So this was the old Joe Douglas special. But this is a super strong player. There was a video of him today from about 8 days ago doing 180 dumbbell bench presses. Pretty strong. And you gave up practically nothing. You gave the equivalent of a mid-7th round pick for him. And he's young too. He's 25 years old, 6'1", 313 pounds. Played in 6 games last year for Cleveland. 13 tackles, 2 quarterback hits. In college, played in Virginia, and he played at Cincinnati. Was a 7th-round pick in 2024, drafted 243. He had 170 tackles and 12 sacks. Now, you have to wonder about this. Why would the Jets make this move? Yes, they need run defense, but does this say something about what else they have on the roster? Some are speculating it's about Derek Nottie. He has basically been invisible. Derek Nottie is one player you hear nothing about. Is it about his roster spot? Is it about Byron Cowart? During the summer, some beat writers were projecting Byron Cowart as a starter. He has not practiced in a couple of weeks with an ankle injury. You have to wonder how he's doing. So is Briggs there to basically force Nottie off the roster? Or is he there because Byron Cowart is going to be injured for longer than we expect? I certainly hope it's the former and not the latter. All right, so then we keep on going. We've got training camp updates to talk about here. And like I said earlier, this is the final day of training camp. It has now broken up. And so on that note, we would like to say a little something to training camp. We thank you for your time, but as far as you go,
He gone!
He gone! Training camp is gone! It's the first time I've ever done that for an event and not a human being, but I just wanted I wanted an excuse to do the he gone. Okay, injury updates. All right, we got a lot to talk about here. Jermaine Johnson, Sauce Gardner, and AZ Thomas all returned on Tuesday. Great news. Now, Sauce's leg doesn't appear to be all the way back. There was a little friendly fire on Tuesday, needed a rub down on the sideline, sat out practice on Wednesday. Everything seems to be okay, but there's no real reason to do anything with him. Let him rest for the next 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Xavier Gibson hurt his shoulder against the Giants. That was the biggest injury to come out of that game. I'll give him credit for trying to play hurt, but I think he's going to be his roster spot is very tenuous. We've already talked about Chris Boyd. He's on IR. He is done for the year. The other injury to talk about is Isaiah Davis. He has not practiced for 2 weeks. He's still not practicing. So you wonder if he's going to start the year on short-term IR. I don't know. This is going to be a tough one, but this could open up the door for another running back, namely Donovan Edwards. Also, John Simpson apparently was hurt today. I think it was just Connor Hughes who mentioned it. I didn't see anybody else say anything. So as of right now, I don't expect that it's overly serious, but we will find out as far as that goes. So remember, this is our last show until we get a 53-man roster. Cutdown day is 6 days away, Tuesday, August 26th. So by Wednesday, we'll have an idea of what we're looking at here. So that brings me to whose job is on the line. There's one opportunity left for these players to show themselves, to show out. And that's going to be Friday night against the defending Super Bowl champions, or at least the understudies of the defending Super Bowl champions, the Philadelphia Eagles. So there's a couple players I've got in mind, and the easy one is Donovan Edwards. Now, this injury to Isaiah Davis may be moving him off the bubble, but we've seen glimpses of him. We've seen speed. We've seen power. You got a pretty capable running back here. And it's another reason why I don't look at Breece Hall as being an essential New York Jet right now, is because I do have hope for Donovan Edwards that he can be a useful NFL running back. But are the Jets in a situation where they are going to keep 4 running backs? Because if you do that, you're probably cutting a third quarterback. You might be cutting a 7th wide receiver. It's a decision to make. Now, if it was me, if I'm looking at skill positions, if there's a position where I want some excess, it's running back. Because the running backs get injured more frequently than any other position in the NFL. And we know that this is an offense that is predicated on running the football effectively. Or as some Giant fans like to say, the 1950s offense. Should hire Woody Hayes as our coach, apparently. So Donovan Edwards, to me, is a player that I would want to keep, but I still think I still need to see him have one more good game. What else can we say about Malachi Corley that hasn't already been said? I've already talked about him during the stock down segment, and to me, it's really hanging on edge. It's going to upset me because, this was a player I believed in from the beginning before the Jets even drafted him. I had very high hopes for him, but it has not worked out. And again, if the Jets let him go, somebody's going to gobble him up. And you know what? For the kid's sake, I hope it's a team that knows how to develop a wide receiver well. I really do. But hey, you know what? Arian Smith seems to be developing. Quinn Skinner, Jamal Pritchett, all these guys seem to be doing okay. So why can't Corley? It's something worth thinking about. Harlan, Woody Hayes passed away. Yes, I do know Woody Hayes passed away forever ago. I was like resurrecting him. Okay, I know he passed away, but thank you. Edwards looks like a keeper. Yep. Hey, Tony, I think so too. I really want to keep him on the roster. All right, so then we keep going and we go on to defense. And to me, there's a lot more position battles, a lot more opportunities over here. The combination of Braden McGregor and Eric Watts. Now, it's interesting because Braden McGregor started that game against the Giants. He's gotten a lot of time, but Eric Watts had 3 pressures in that game, the most of any Jet. And he also, I think we've seen in the past, he can play special teams pretty well. He's good on, field goal blocking units, things like that. But he did have a dumb penalty in the Green Bay game. So to me, the way that it's looking right now, and we're going to get into the edge rushers, but I think these 2 players, I don't think both of these players are going to make the team like they did last year. I think one can. one can. I think it's one or the other at this point, at best. I think these are two players who need to have an impact against Philadelphia to secure a roster spot. Then you keep going. Derek Nottie, we mentioned him, the defensive line, and now even more so. He went from the frying pan into the fire with the acquisition of the Cleveland defensive end, Juwan Briggs. Yeah, I knew Briggs. I'm going to have to get used to the first name, Juwan Briggs. Because Nottie, he's got the championship pedigree coming over from Kansas City. But his play did decline last season. And I barely even noticed him in training camp or in preseason games. I think his roster spot, very tenuous as well. And then you go to the linebacker, the fifth linebacker role between Zaire Barnes and Marcelino McCrary-Ball. Ball, again, very good on special teams, but has had issues, had some penalty issues. Zaire Barnes has had a good game, has had a bad game. Hasn't played much in his career due to injuries. I feel pretty confident about the four linebackers ahead of them. But I do think that the Jets would keep a fifth linebacker, and it's going to need to be somebody who plays special teams. Ball's got more experience, but do they like Barnes? Right now, I would give Ball the slight edge over there. And then, okay, so that takes us to my final 53-man roster projection. This is roster projection 3.0. Okay, and then we'll get into my idea for wide receiver. All right, so that's pretty much the plan of action for tonight. So let's get into quarterbacks. So first of all, you know what? I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. There we go. I'm going to cover up the Jets logo. So Justin Fields, Tyrod Taylor are locks in my mind. Now put it this way. Tyrod Taylor still not practicing. They already said he was out for the preseason. The expectation or the hope is he returns week 1. If he doesn't, then I would expect Brady Cook to be the backup quarterback. At this point, he has been coming in before Adrian Martinez has. And to me, Martinez, I just don't see it in him. I see him as a quarterback for the CFL. I think Brady Cook has shown some glimpses in scrimmages and the joint practices that he is capable of throwing some good passes. I'm worried about the accuracy. And then if Fields gets hurt and we got to put Cook in the game, I'm going to be worried. At that point, hey, you might even want to call Chris Streveler, see if he's available. I know Tony would appreciate that. By the way, guys, please hit that thumbs up. Just going to mention that real quick. Remember, we get to 15 likes, 15 thumbs ups. We will spin the wheel a little bit later. And it's been a minute since we have spun the wheel. So, yeah, I'm hoping that we get to do that tonight. Let's see. We've got a few. I'm just checking Twitter real quick, see if there's anything here. 49ers wide receiver Demarcus Robinson has been suspended 3 games for violating the NFL's substance abuse policy. Okay. Niners can appeal if they want. All right, there we go. So that's about all that's going on in news in the last few minutes. So bottom line, I've got 2 quarterbacks. And I know there's certain guys like Robbie Sabo love Brady Cook, but I can only guarantee him a spot if Taylor is hurt. Running back, I'm still going 5. Breece, Braylon, Isaiah. Although now, if Isaiah has to start the season on IR, then you're going down to 4, and now you can sneak another quarterback or wide receiver on the roster. So it bears watching. I'm still giving a roster spot to Donovan Edwards. I don't want to risk him getting away, and I've got to keep Andrew Beck. If you are going to run the ball, you need either an excellent blocking tight end or you need a fullback. And I know some people have been talking recently, the Jets don't do anything with fullbacks. It's a waste of a roster spot. Not in this case. The Jets don't have great blocking tight ends and they're planning to run the ball. You need a fullback in this case or that H-back, and Andrew Beck can do that. I'm keeping Andrew Beck on this roster. The great Grandizer, Baba Booey to you. 15 likes, you spin the wheel. 3 dislikes, you spin the wheel. 5 dislikes, you give us a song and dance hope all as well. Yeah, I'm doing just fine. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I did the Blue Blocker rap. Just go back and watch the Blue Blocker rap if you need to see that. All right, wide receivers. I've messed with this a little bit, so I've got the same 3 locks. Garrett Wilson, Arian Smith, and Josh Reynolds. Tyler Johnson, to me, is close to a lock at this point. I'm still going possible, but I fully expect he makes the roster, next to fully, I would say. All right, Alan Lazard. Arm still in a sling last I checked. Got hurt in the Green Bay game, I believe. I still give him a roster spot. unless he's hurt and you IR him, then it opens up another spot. And that's why I put Quinn Skinner's name right there in italics. I think if Lazard is on IR, Quinn Skinner, who has a similar makeup, similar skill set, similar body type, I think Skinner gets that roster spot. And then I'm also giving a roster spot to Jamal Pritchett. He's got some return ability. I like his route running. Again, very good special teams player, super productive at South Alabama. I think Jamal Pritchett has earned a roster spot. It seems like most years there's a player that you want to get on the roster, but you kind of don't think it's going to happen. And then you just kind of wait. That's the name you look for. I'm looking at Pritchett. I think Pritchett of the undrafted free agents is going to get that chance. Malachi Corley, you know what? He's got to fall on the chopping block at this point. He has not been as productive, and it's that simple. Gibson, same thing. He's hurt right now. Tell me what he could do that these other receivers can't do better than him, whether it's returning, route running, catching, blocking, you name it. Brandon Smith, I like him, but remember, Brandon Smith is in his 5th year. I think Brandon Smith is a player that you can sneak through and put on the practice squad. And then Dymere Miller, Ontario Wilson, we thank you. Thank you for your services. So that's the change. I think if it's not Lazard, it's Skinner. And I'm adding Pritchett and I'm cutting Corley. So wide receiver is where I've changed things up the most. Harlan, Jets should keep Miller on the practice squad. They can develop him. If there's an opportunity, then I'm fine with that. Tight end, I haven't changed anything here at all. Mason Taylor, Jeremy Ruckert, they're on the roster. Stone Smart, at this point, I would be pretty much ready to move him to a lock at this point. I'm pretty much ready to go there. I don't think Kuntz and Johnson are going to stick around at this point. It hurts me to lose Kuntz, but you make the intelligent choice by keeping Smart, also an ODU tight end. And as we've seen, he blew up that little crybaby, Abdul Carter, and I can't exactly say that broke my heart to see that. What a whiny biatch Abdul Carter's turning into. My gosh. All right, so I'll put Smart on the possible line, but I'd be very surprised if he doesn't make the roster. Kind of like Tyler Johnson. Offensive tackles, I got the same 4. Olufashanu, Armand Membu, a core 4, even though he has not looked good at all, and Carter Warren. And I wouldn't be surprised. If they have to go to a swing tackle, that's going to scare me because the Jets have excellent depth on the interior offensive line. It's terrible at offensive tackle. I got no confidence in a core 4. Carter Warren, hopefully some development will help. And Max Mitchell, I mean, stop. Can we please cut the cord on Max Mitchell? I'm done. Interior offensive lineman, there's nothing to change. This is like the one major position where I don't even have a possible. It's 5 players. We know who they are. John Simpson, Joe Tippmann, AVT, Josh Myers, Xavier Newman. Everybody else, I'm sorry, there's just not a spot. And as long as the Simpson injury is not serious, which we don't think it is, then those are your 5 interior offensive linemen. If you have to go to another one, I really don't know where we're going. Wiegand, the who came over from Europe. Cole Laval's got a little experience. I don't know. None of these possibilities really excite me at this point. So hopefully we have our 5 and we stay with those 5. The great Jets Mess, the original channel member. Good to see you as well, my friend. I appreciate it very much. Hope you're having a fantastic week and a stellar hump day. All right, so now we go over to the defense. Edge rushers, so I kind of messed with this, with the whole defensive line. Will McDonald, JJ, you know that they're locks. Michael Clemens, Tyler Barron, they're all but certain, but I'll still put them at possible. Rashad Weaver, I think, makes the team. The free agent who came over from Tennessee. I still like his capability. Right now, I'm leaving out Watts, McGregor, and Weston. Weston can help on special teams, but I'm sorry. If I'm keeping a defensive end, he's got to be more than just a good special teams player. So Watts and McGregor, I've got him on the bubble. Right now, I'm leaving him off, and I'm doing that because I'm keeping 5 defensive tackles. The Jets had not made the trade today for Jawan Briggs, I probably would have kept Eric Watts. But now I'm keeping 5 defensive tackles as of now. Quinn Williams, Leonard Taylor, and Jay Tufele, I have moved up to the lock level. And Jawan Briggs, the Jets just traded for him, and he along with Quinnen, their best run stopper, he's got to be on the roster. So I've got 4 locks, and I'm putting the roster spot right now. I'm giving it to Byron Cowart, although if he has to start on IR or if he's injured enough, then I think Derek Nottie takes the spot. So that's where I'm going. So I've got 5 edge rushers and I've got 5 defensive tackles. So 10 defensive linemen total. That's where I'm going. Fedarian Mathis, I've heard nothing about him. Peyton Page, I heard a few early glimpses, but not much. Vitor Mamolba, I've heard nothing about him as well. So we'll see what happens. The great Johnny Boy, how you doing, buddy? We are winning the season. Yeah. Hey, you know what? 31 other teams think they're winning the season too. But hey, I'll be in town in a week and a half, so hopefully I can see you. I'll be doing a race for Virginia Beach on Sunday morning, so hopefully we can. Hopefully I can see you. All right, we go to linebacker. So I've got the same 5: Quincy, Jamian, and Maui Yoga. Got Kiko as our 3 locks. Jamin Davis, I'm pretty sure, is going to make the team as well. I should have had a likely category. I've got like 5 guys I would consider likely. Jamin Davis, I got to put him there. And Marcelino McCurry-Ball, that's a position where I'm going special teams. He just has the experience. Despite the penalty, I think he makes the roster as the 5th linebacker. Zaire Barnes, he's just had too much of an injury history. I'm okay to let him develop on the practice squad, but I can't give him a 53-man roster spot. Around September 13th, no, actually Labor Day weekend. Not this weekend. It's the next weekend I'll be in town. So before the season starts. All right. So, yeah. So hopefully you'll be around for that. All right. Then cornerbacks, again, no changes. Sauce, Brandon Stevens, A.Z. Thomas, who's back in practice, Michael Carter II, and I'm adding Quantez Stiggers as my 5th corner. It feels a little weird to only go 5 corners instead of 6, but that's just the direction that I'm choosing to go here. Jarek Bernard Converse. I know some people are saying with the injury to Chris Boyd that might leave a roster spot open to him. To me, I never was giving a roster spot to Chris Boyd. I just couldn't do it. To me, there's running back and special teams needs that come first. And to me, that's the reason why I can't quite keep JBC on this roster. Jordan Clark, Bump Cooper, thank you for coming. Safeties, I've got the same 4. Andre Cisco, the Cisco Kid. I've got Tony Adams. I've got Malachi Moore. And I've got the Swiss Army knife. I've got Isaiah Oliver, who can play anywhere on the field that you need him to. Possible, Jarius Monroe. I moved Dean Clark up from unlikely to possible because he did play well in that last preseason game. But still, I just don't see a situation where he makes the team. And then we go to kicker. It's going to be Nick Folk. I don't think there's really any doubt about it. Austin McNamara, we know he's making the team. And that leaves us with 2 spots left to fill. Thomas Hennessy gets 1. And I'm keeping Kenny Nwangwu, as I talked about earlier. I just think he's a very good all-around player. Running back, gunner, kick returner. You keep players like that who could fill multiple roles for you. And Irv Charles, I expect him to start the season on IR. Harlan Abraham likes Dean Clark. Yeah, I like him too. But if we had a 60-man roster, I'd have a conversation. But we only get 53, unfortunately. All right. So let's do one more. Let's do one more thing here. And guys, got any thoughts about this? Let me know. So there have been a lot of talks lately. I'm going to go to, where is it? Yeah, we'll do that one for right now. So there's been a lot of talk about wide receiver as of late, that the Jets offense, it really needs that second wide out. And without it, it really seems like it's not quite stuck in the mud, but it's very stop and go, stop and go, stop and go. The Jets will put a good drive together, then they won't go anywhere. That's kind of what we're seeing. And again, I expect a primarily inconsistent offense for most of the season. I just hope the defense can do enough and make enough impact plays to give the offense a short field to where they can take advantage of it. Because if they can't do that, we're looking at a very long season. Now, other teams are looking for a wide receiver as well. The Vikings are looking for one with the Jordan Addison suspension. San Francisco 49ers are looking at a wide receiver with Brandon Ayuk. Man, it's a shame about him. He's always hurt, but he's so good. He's so talented. I like Ayuk, but I don't know if he's ever going to be healthy enough to really maximize his potential. And I've heard different ideas. I've heard about signing an aging Amari Cooper. He's 31 years old. I expect him to fill a spot on a team on a good team where a player gets hurt. I've heard about trading for Romeo Doubs from Green Bay, who drops the ball at an absolutely ridiculous rate. I'm not really digging him. I'll tell you who I am into. Alec Pierce from the Indianapolis Colts. This is what I'm looking at. All right, I see the Jets have a second wide receiver in Josh Reynolds. You know what? I like the upside of Alec Pierce. Now, let me tell you why. It's not just because he grew up in Chicagoland and lived basically 30 minutes away from where I lived for 20 years. That's not it. He did go to Glenbard West High School, home of the Hilltoppers. One of my best friends who's passed away years ago went to Glenbard West as well. So I got a little sentimental value for the guy, okay? It wasn't my high school, but it was at one time, my best friend's high school. So I was already rooting for Alec Pierce to begin with. But let me tell you why I like him. He's 6'3", 211 pounds, and I do want to acknowledge Dom C for mentioning the idea to me. And the more I looked into it, the more I liked it. He's a free agent after this season, okay? He was a second-round pick. He's played in the league 3 years. This is his fourth year. So it's a contract year for him. Now, let me give you the stats from his first 3 seasons, okay? Receptions, 41, 32, 37. Yards received, first year, 593, 514, 824. Big jump last year. Yards per reception, 14.5, 16.1, 22.3. 22 yards a reception, you have my attention. First downs, I think that's a stat that we don't really talk about enough, is how many first downs are you converting? 28, 24, 32. Touchdowns, 2, 2, 7. Again, huge jump last year. Drop percentage, 3.8%, 4.6%, 4.3%. So right around 4%, which is more than acceptable. Also, a couple other things about him. He's durable. He's missed 1 game in 3 years. He's a physical player. He gets contested catches. He's not afraid to go over the middle. Primarily a possession receiver, but he works the middle of the field well. He knows how to get open. Doesn't this sound a little bit like Jericho Cotchery? Like a white Jericho Cotchery? That's what I feel like I'm describing right now. Now, he was day-to-day this week with a groin injury, but he is back at practice. And you look at the Colts' depth at wide receiver, okay? After Michael Pittman, it's Josh Downs, Adonai Mitchell, and Alec Pierce competing for time. And remember, Daniel Jones is their starting quarterback. This is a run-based offense. They got Jonathan Taylor running the ball, as you well know. Who do I want to put the offense in the hands of? Jonathan Taylor, Daniel Jones. I think I would trust Daniel Jones more to run the ball than I would him throwing the ball. Now, I don't know if Indianapolis is willing to trade him. Maybe they're not willing to extend him. And if they're not, then this is a player they might be looking to trade. And you look at what the Jets have to work with, all right, with draft capital. Right now, next year, they've got their first round, their second round, their fourth round. They've got 3 6th-round picks and now a 7th-round pick. Okay, their 6th-round picks are from Denver, Baltimore, and Buffalo. So they're most likely going to be later in that 6th round. And that 7th-round pick is now going to be Buffalo. So that's probably going to be later as well. So, hey, they got 2 of Buffalo's draft picks next year, if that makes you excited. But I don't know if Indianapolis would take like a 6th-round pick for Pierce. That might not – I don't know if that would be enough. It might take the 4. Maybe they would take a 4 and give us maybe a 5th-round pick back. Something like that might work. It really depends on how committed Indianapolis is to Alec Pierce. Because first 2 years he was okay, but he took a nice jump last year. And I wonder, is Pierce going to commit to him? But I think if he comes to the Jets, you give him that playing time. He becomes, to me, quickly either your 2nd or 3rd wide receiver. So to me, it's really an option worth exploring. And if he makes the roster and bumps Tyler Johnson down to the inactive list, am I really going to be upset about it? Or if it means Jamal Pritchett just plays special teams, am I going to be mad? I'm really not. Again, 25 years old, 6'3", 211, can catch, plays physical, durable. What's not to love about him? So that's what I'm thinking. I would also think about Jacoby Myers. He's also entering a contract year. Remember, the Raiders just drafted 3 wide receivers. They're rehauling that entire room. He's not coming back to the Raiders next year. Maybe they want to get something for him. And also, he was brought in by their previous regime. So if he's available, I'm interested in Jacoby Myers as well. Oh, and by the way, for our draft capital, in case you're wondering, 27 and 28, the Jets have their full allotment of picks. No extra picks, no picks lost. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in 27 and 28. All right. So I'll tell you what, guys, that's what I'm thinking right now. Alec Pierce is the target I would have for a wide receiver if the Jets are looking to do that. Now, the fact that they've already traded for a defensive tackle, are they going to make a second trade? Only time will tell. But I think over the course of the next week or so, as we see this preseason game happen against Philadelphia, and then cutdown day happens on Tuesday where the news will be coming hot and heavy, I don't think a trade is out of the realm of possibility. All right, guys. Well, I'll tell you what. I think it is just about that time. Yeah, I know it's 10-7. It's a little bit early, but I feel pretty much ready to do it right now, and hope you're ready as well. It is that time of the week, and it happens every single week on Wednesday nights. You know what happens over the course of the week. I head down into the labyrinth of Jets knowledge, and I bust open the books. I dust off the Encyclopedia Britannica. I pull up the websites from the dark Jets web, and I, Watch UK99, challenge you, the most loyal fans of the most loyal fan base in the National Football League. Just how much do you know about your New York Jets? So if you are ready, you're going to have to wait a moment because I got a question here from Grandizer that I'm going to address. What Jets player makes your 53-man roster? To you, is one you'd be okay with cutting and leaving that spot open for a future addition? Okay, I want to make sure I'm understanding. Which Jets player that makes your roster is one you'd be okay with cutting and leave that? Okay, so of the players that I projected making it, who would I be okay cutting? Okay, I got what you're saying here. I'd probably be okay. I might say Edwards. I might say Donovan Edwards, though I don't want to cut him. I can't do anything in the secondary. Maybe a Marcelino McCurry Ball at linebacker. Maybe him, because I really look at him as a special teams player. Yeah, I would have said one of the defensive ends, but right now I have them just getting edged out. There's nobody on the offensive line I want to expose to waivers. I would take a core four. I'd like to get rid of a core four, but I don't know what else you're going to get for him. Let's see. Outside of that, any wide receivers? Pritchett, maybe? Yeah. I think I might say Jamal Pritchett is a possibility. Cutting and leaving that spot open for a future addition. Yeah, I'd say either McCrary Ball or Pritchett. One of those two. Or Edward. I don't want to lose Edwards because, again, it's going to be a running team. I don't think we're going to have Brees here. And I think 6 months from now, Brees is gone. I really do. So, yeah, there's a couple of names that I put on my 53 that I'd be willing to cut and then possibly bring back at some point if they don't get snagged away. That's right, Harlan. Time for Jets trivia. So this is going to be a Jets-Eagles related trivia question. See, now I've got the slide up, and now the comment doesn't go away. I can't understand what's going on here. This is messed up. All right, so add it back up. There we go. I may have to switch. I may have to get off StreamYard because I'm just getting really annoyed by this. And for what they charge every month, for their plan, it's just a joke. All right, so tonight's question, it's going to go a little something like this. Again, it's a Jets-Eagles question. I'm going to give you 5 minutes on the clock. Put your answers down there in the chat, and I will let you know in my own way if your answer is correct or if you need to keep on thinking. Here's the question. 2 players have rushed for over 500 career yards with the Eagles who also at some point in their career played for the New York Jets. Can you name those 2 players? All right, so 2 players ran for over 500 yards over their time with the Philadelphia Eagles, over their career with the Eagles, and they also at some point suited up with the good green and white with the New York Jets. Can you name both players? Reminder, please hit that thumbs up button, guys. Share the channel. Yeah, we're up to 10. All right, we're doing pretty well. We need more. Harlan Abraham is going to go with, he says Byers. I believe he means Keith Byers. the fullback. Is that correct? It sure is. That's right. Keith Byars had a very good career with the Eagles and came over during the Bill Parcells days. So Keith Byars is a correct answer. Well done. And you still got about 3.5 minutes to get the second answer. Let's see. Audio avatars should come. All right, let's see. So Keith Byars is 1. Who is number 2? It's a name you definitely know. This is not an obscure player by any stretch. I can promise you that. I have 5 people in the chat. I see the people in the chat. They're thinking about it. Oh, wait a minute. We have news. We may have news. It looked here. The New York Jets, guys, we have breaking news. We have breaking Jets news. All right, guys, we have an announcement. The New York Jets have traded with the Minnesota Vikings for Harrison Phillips. Okay, so he has a $7.4 million salary. The Vikings are paying half of that. Wow. I think Coward's in trouble now. So Phillips was a former Bill, played there from 2018 to 2021. The trade is, let's see, the Jets get Harrison Phillips and a 2027 7th-round pick. In return, the Vikings get a Jets 6th-round pick and a 2027 6th-round pick. Okay, so I believe that's the Jets' own 6th-round pick. I'm pretty sure. That's right. Breaking news. You heard it here first on New York Sports WickerMedia. We'll take. I'll kill the clock on the trivia. Yeah, this just broke about a few minutes ago. Yeah. See if we have any details. So, all right. I wonder which 6th-round pick it is, though, because, like I said, the Jets have 3 6th-round picks available in 2026. So this is going to be interesting to see. Harlan Abreu, he's a defensive tackle. Played in Buffalo for a while. Now is with Minnesota. So I'm going to look up a little bit on him and see what we can see. And again, the Jets are only playing half the salary. All right, so he's 29 years old. That's pretty good. 6'3", 307 pounds. All right, so let's look at his numbers. He's been in the NFL for 7 seasons, first 4 with Buffalo, last 3 with Minnesota. Played the full season for the last 3 years in Minnesota, so you always like that. Let's see. With Minnesota, had 6.5 sacks in the last 3 seasons, so not going to terrify you as a pass rusher. Quarterback hits, 17 in the last 3 years, not bad. 7 tackles for a loss, that's okay too. All right. I think this is more of a run stuffer, really. Let's see. If there's anything here in advanced defense that's worth looking at. Missed tackles. Let's see. For his career, about what are we looking at? About about 4.8% missed tackle rate. That's pretty good. That's okay. That's okay. It plays about 60 to 70% of the time for the most part. So, okay. Yeah, he was actually traded by the Eagles in 2018 with Jordan Matthews to the Bills for Ronald Darby from Omaha, Nebraska. That's right. We got a nice big corn-fed boy over there. I like that. So this looks like he's more of a run stopper. Can get a hit or 2 on a quarterback, but you're going to be using him as more as a run stopper. So let's think about that. The Jets have traded today for 2 run stuffers. So if I've got to rethink this now, along with Q, you're going to have Phillips. You're going to have Briggs. So from there, you're either going to have 1 or 2 defensive tackles. I think you're going to have more than that. So now you got Leonard Taylor, Jay Tufele. I'm thinking Derek Notty's all but done. Byron Cowart, at this rate, I'm expecting him to be hurt. I don't know if we're going to see Byron Cowart for a while at this rate. I could deal with one, but two, man. I really hope Leonard Taylor makes the roster. If Leonard Taylor doesn't make the roster, I'd be very disappointed. He should. He's more of a pass rusher than he is a run stopper. So I do feel good about that. I think this second trade really has me concerned about Cowart. 3.5. Yeah, that's right, Grandizer. Yeah, let's see. Is this going to knock me out again, too? Oh, there we go. I don't have a slide up. Okay, so I could stay on. Okay, it doesn't take me off the video. All right. So, yeah, I think Tufele, that would surprise some people because Tufele was just so good against Green Bay. But again, against the Giants, didn't do much. And remember, his time with Cincinnati, he wasn't exactly known for athletic ability or making impact plays. I think he was given an opportunity. But you know what? If the Jets are deciding, you know what, these aren't the players we need, let's go get these players instead to play the kind of defense that we want to play. You know what? I give credit to Aaron Glenn and to Darren Muji for being proactive and not waiting until later, not waiting until cuts and going to get the players that they wanted to get. And I think I like that because, most of these guys were pass rushers first, not run stoppers. And you want a nice balance of that on your defensive line, especially on the interior. So, yeah, Harlan, I think that's absolutely the case. I think Cowart is hurt worse than we thought. Certainly you hope it's not season ending, but at this point I would not be surprised. And losing Chris Boyd, you know what? That didn't really upset me. Losing Cowart, it wouldn't be a blow to the soul, but it would be disappointing because I really thought he was going to play. But again, he's not a long-term investment. He's here for a year. Adam, I wonder if the player the Jets got has an Aaron Glenn connection or another coach on the staff, if there's a connection. Not with Glenn. I will say that Sauce Gardner was teammates with Briggs at the University of Cincinnati. I will point that out. So they were teammates. I'm trying to think. Buffalo or Minnesota? Let me see here. Steve Wilkes. It wouldn't be. I don't think it'd be Steve Wilkes. He was in San Francisco during that time, right? I'll go through the defense, but I'm pretty sure it was San Francisco. Let's see where. Oh, flight path. Okay, Carolina from 2012 to 2017. Then in 2022, University of Missouri. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything where he would have had a connection to Phillips. All right, so let's look at defensive line, who is Eric Washington. So Washington was the Bears defensive coordinator last season. Well, same division, if you want me to really stretch it. Okay. I think I got something for you. All right. So from 2020 to 2023, Eric Washington was the defensive line coach for the Buffalo Bills. And now Harrison Phillips was with the Bills from 2018 to 2021. So there were 2 years of crossover where Eric Washington was the position coordinator for Harrison Phillips. So Grandizer, that's a good thought. So yeah, so one of the there is a bit of a connection there with the assistant, with Eric Washington. I thought you were going to say the Jets get Micah Parsons. Oh, I would have gone streaking if that happened. Okay, and I would have been in jail by tomorrow morning. So, all right, guys, I'm just going to go ahead and give you the trivia answer since we got a little bit sidetracked. Let's see. How's the anything going on in the Mets game? No score after top of the second. Okay. All right. So here's the answer. So the question again was, 2 players have rushed for over 500 career yards with the Eagles who also played for the Jets. We did get one correct answer with Keith Byers. The other answer is Michael Vick. You remember Michael Vick played for the Eagles, played there for, I believe it was 2 years or so. The infamous Miracle at the Meadowlands Part 2. He was the orchestrator of that. And then he came over to the Jets for one season in 2014. So Keith Byers and Michael Vick are the correct answers for the trivia tonight. So, guys, I hate to say this, but you didn't get that one. So had to. All right, if you streak head at Chippendales, when you were good at something, get paid for it. Where I live, it is very hilly. I ran one time on these hills. I'm never running on that shit again. Never again. No. Not in the Carolina heat, up and down those hills through construction sites. No. Not interested in that. All right, guys. I'll tell you what. I have not eaten in about 8 hours, 7-8 hours. I am hungry. I am gonna go make me some chicken, make some chicken cutlets, a little salad on top of that, and that's right. So I gotta heat up the frying pan. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Everybody, here's what's up. I want to thank you very much for hanging with me tonight. I will try to posting on Tuesday. During the course of the day, depending on how busy my workday is, as the roster cuts get announced. Maybe I'll give some thoughts in the middle of the day, and we'll see what happens over the course of the next few days. If anything is going on, I will certainly post about it. But everybody, enjoy the rest of your week. The NFL regular season is almost here. I can't wait. And everybody, I will see you here, same time, same place next week. Right back here with more content from you all know where. Come on. There it is. The Wicker Chair. Have a good night, everybody.